What's a habit you wish you'd have built earlier? I look forward to your answers to this question. What habit would you like to develop much sooner? Enjoy watching. Story 1. If it takes 5 minutes or less to do something, I do it right away. I have bad ADHD, and this has made a huge difference for me in terms of managing stuff at work and at home. It takes far more time and mental energy for me to think about small crap than to do it. I've saved a ton of time. It took a long while to build the habit, but I'm glad I did. Story 2. Being assertive and more in tune with my feelings. I was raised to keep my head down, be polite and nice, not necessarily kind. Don't stand up for myself, and being angry is a bad thing. Now I'm almost 30 and just now seeing how fucked up my family truly is. Along with that, to stop gaslighting myself and understand that my feelings are valid. Story 3. Reading, this changes my life. Any musical instrument, especially piano and guitar, this could have made my life happier if I'm determined enough to learn them to an enjoyable level. Cardios, this can make the happy life longer. More life, more happy, good. Story 4. Studying. I was one of those kids who just kinda coasted through school getting not amazing grades but passable. Uni was such a system shock and caused so much stress because I simply didn't know how or have the discipline to just sit down and do like an hour or 2 hours work. Story 5. Sleeping early and waking up early. People in my country would get moving at 6 a.m. My current job only starts at like 10 a.m., so I'm not really rushing, but the clarity of mind and freshness of early morning is something that I always skipped for 2 hours of extra sleep. Story 6. Drinking water. My mother suffered from halitosis, and so did I. My mother suffered from constant headaches, and so did I. My mother had trouble sleeping, and so did I. Ergo, I thought I inherited her problems. Turns out she was not drinking enough water throughout the day, and neither was I. The day we changes those, problems were gone. Story 7. Facing my fears. Stop running away from the unknown. As young adult, I had crooked teeth, then bad dental hygiene because I got scared as a teenager when they said they wanted to do surgery. It all went to shits from that moment, and was not until I was in my 30s I finally fixed it. Super happy now, but fuck, it was expensive. Because in Norway, dental is only free from birth until you're 18 years old. So had I faced the unknown that scared me, then I would got everything fixed for free and less extensive than what I did end up doing. And no money out of my pocket. Ended up with an even more elaborate surgery. They basically broke my jaw in 4 places and realigned it, and also had braces for a little over 5 years. Pandemic slowed down the process, which also made it cost more. And it all comes back to that moment as a teenager. So if you get scared, face your fears or learn about them to make them less scary. Seek information. Be on the ball. Eye on the price kind of mantra. Story 8. Allocating 9 hours to bed each night. Suddenly I was waking up at 6:30 fresh and ready to go to school. I was up before everyone else and I had time to do things like meditate, homework, eat a delicious, healthy breakfast, all before I even left the house to get to school. I since fell into a low period and I really need to get back to that. Story 9. Working out for sure. I fell out of it for years but just came back around to it about a year ago and have been mostly consistent. You really don't need to go too often, especially for weightlifting, but the consistently seriously matters. It also doesn't have to be the gym, go rock climb, etc. The benefits are just so noticeable if you're not abusing your body. You improve socially, physically, mentally. You get more flexibility with your diet as well. If you go on a long-ass hike, it really doesn't hurt you too much if you eat like wild boar. If anything, it's often something you need to do. Story 10. Actually practicing being present, in the now. I swear I've lived the majority of my life like a co-pilot with suggestions. Autopilot was in charge, aka disassociation detachment. It takes practice and constantly reminding yourself, so yeah, really wish I would have started way sooner. Story 11. Honestly, giving less of a fuck about what other people think. I used to care so much about how other people saw, perceived me, in the hopes that they'd like me. I wasted so much time and emotional energy trying to impress people that didn't deserve it. Oh well. Hindsight is 20/20, I suppose. Story 12. Brushing my teeth. As a kid, I used to lie to my parents if I brushed my teeth or not, and often tried to sleep my way away from doing it. As I got to my teenage years, tartars, cavities, and a terrible breath. I learned to brush it now more frequently as I have learned from my terrible mistakes. Story 13. Saving for my retirement. I started later than most, at 32. This was a few years into my eventual career, and I started working for a company which matched 401k contributions up to 8%. Despite starting later than I should have, I am at a very good place today at age 50. I started to invest with the same guy who has done very well for my parents. When he moved to a different firm, both my parents and I moved with him. We lost my father a couple of years ago, and when we met with a lawyer and took a long look at my parents' living trust, it was clear my father put everything on the right path. My mother is not a spender, so I rest easy knowing that if she lived another 22 years to be 100, she will still be in a good place financially. Story 14. I appreciate so much when others put their phones away unless it's their child calling or texting. I wish I had started walking sooner, going to every park, no matter where it was, just walking to see how far I could go. I am an amputee now, 11 years into a car crash, and although I can walk and have a prosthetic, sometimes I get problems that put me in a wheelchair for days to weeks. I walk now everywhere and anywhere I can see, I took it for granted. Also, just being present in the moment. I was always worried about things that don't matter now, I can't remember them. Sunrises and sunsets are amazing. Watching a full moon, looking at all the stars at night, trees. I never realized how much I love being outdoors. And gardening, it's like meditation for me. Story 15. Whatever habit I was trying to acquire, doing that consistently. Looking back at my high school years, I'm 18. I would be doing very well for a month, then slowly self-destruct. Then I would build myself back up and destroy myself again. For example, I went from 160 pounds to 200, then I got down to 175, stayed there for a while, then some stresses came in my life and I soared to 220. This has been me basically my whole life, and I always think how if I had stayed consistent in my discipline, how much of a better person I'd be today. Story 16. Prep. I prep absolutely everything. Food, supplements, clothes, etc. It's been such a time saver. It's also allowed me to keep habits I likely would have otherwise broken. Organization. I've actually been organized for some time, but I tend to be a little bipolar as this space. High to low, I just need to be on the high side more often and for longer. Story 17. Forcing myself to get up earlier. Every day, I don't know how can't fall asleep. I just pass out from exhaustion at some point. I also don't require as much sleep. I am good to go at 6 HRs and sleeping in is 8 HRS. Always been a night owl. I married a person who loves sleep. She needs a solid 8 of sleep on a light day and will choose to sleep longer if given the chance. She can just decide to go to sleep, like just close her eyes and checks out. It's crazy bananas to me. Anyways, it started to affect our relationship. Me never going to bed her and always staying up late. So I started setting my alarm for 6 a.m. I don't work till 9 a.m. and live 5 mins from work plus no little kids that need me. I made myself get up and out of bed every day at 6 a.m. On weekends, I made myself get up at 6 a.m. I could take a nap if need be, but only for 45 mins and only between 8 a.m. 1 p.m. After 6 months, I was able to go to bed with my wife at 10:30 and asleep by 11:30. If I fall asleep too early, I'm up with the sun and birds at 5:30 a.m., but hey, I use that time to do any tidying up, prep for dinner, get laundry together, etc. It has dramatically improved our relationship, and I wish I put more effort into changing my sleep time than just saying I'm a night owl. Story 18. Getting into Pilates or yoga. I wish I got better exercises for my shoulders earlier in my life when I was younger, especially after I had shoulder surgery. I had a consultation and some take-home ones, but IDK, not like the ones I got now. Definitely should have done yoga when I was younger because I could have had a better core and balance. I wish I knew about calories in and calories out, or just eating better and sometimes smaller portions years ago. And just know it was easier to lose weight if I cut the shit because I was younger versus now after 40. I should have been more active when I had anger issues too. Like doing things myself as well. If I was mad, I could go for a walk, etc. And not giving a fuck. This I have learned the last few years and it's wonderful. And having had social anxiety in the past, I wish I could have put myself out there and gotten over my social anxiety sooner. It's great to not care what others think and not be nitpicky on myself as well. And it's great not to be scared or nervous to be in social situations or go to the grocery store or the doctor. I don't mind going most places now when I do go out. Story 19. Learning how to actually budget. I'm finally entering the real workforce because I spent most of the time working part-time jobs because I was in college full-time. Lived at home and worked and didn't have to worry about expenses. I made enough for gas for my car, any repairs it needed, and then expenses for fun. And now that I graduated and started the real world, man, did I mess up big time not learning how to budget. I'm working on it now, but man. Story 20. Not following trends. I used to look like a boring robot. Now I have my own unique style that's neither in nor out. It's nice to always feel like me and not have to buy the latest trend. I would have saved a lot of time and ugly pictures if I had always been true to my personal style. Story 21. Using my natural speaking voice, I never wanted to intimidate anyone, so my voice would go up a few octaves. I recently learned I have a sexy, deep voice and should use it. Like I can do a spot-on impression of corpse husband and still have room to go deeper. It's a surprisingly difficult habit to break, but I'm working on it. Story 22. I started running. The most difficult part of running is walking out the door. I never allowed myself to think about it. I just did it. It didn't matter if I worked late. I would run at 10 p.m. This gave me self-discipline. It was also a way to clear my mind, to empty it of thoughts. I learned how to breathe. I stopped wearing a watch. I went according to body clock for everything. I slept when I was tired. I ate when I was hungry. I might have lunch at 3 p.m. and skip dinner. I lingered on a hike. I stayed longer, or shorter, at events depending on how I felt. I stopped reading fashion magazines. Advertising tells you what to do, who to be, tells you what to buy, tells you what to want, how you should look. It shuts down your creative self-expression by overruling your style. Style is very personal. You can be stylish in shitty-looking clothes. I started to give everyone whose path crossed mine attention. I had read somewhere that every interaction has meaning for you. They might be carrying a message for you and your life. I started to be present. I mean, really present. If I am out for dinner with a friend, I never look at my phone. If I am with my kid, I just sit there. When I walk home, I notice the way the houses in my neighborhood are painted. I pay attention to every detail. When I'm at the beach, I listen to the sound of the waves crashing. I notice the shade of blue in the sky. This habit gave me many, many memories. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.